Howdy y'all, it's Reese, aka Bearman Prime on this April 9th. Welcome back to my Read the Bible in a Year series. Thank you again for joining me. Card in the top right hand corner for the rest of the playlist, and please hit the like button, the subscribe button, and that notification bell. Really do appreciate it. So yesterday we followed up on the story of Amnon and Tamar after Amnon had raped Tamar, his half-sister. Then Tamar's brother Absalom took matters into his hands after David did not punish Amnon. In his eyes, he didn't punish him at all, or didn't deserving for his crime. And so Absalom ended up killing Amnon, not necessarily by his own hand, but by the hand of his servants. But still, Absalom was responsible for Amnon's death, and now he has fled. He is elsewhere. He's far away. And so now we're going to pick it up with Absalom's story, going to chapter 15 of 2 Samuel. So let's go to chapter 15, starting in verse 1. After this, Absalom got a chariot and horses for himself. He had 50 men run in front of him while he drove the chariot. Absalom would get up early and stand near the gate. He would watch for anyone with problems who was going to King David for judgment. Then Absalom would talk to them and say, "What city are you from?" They would say they were from such and such tribe in Israel. Then Absalom would say, "Look, you are right, but King David will not listen to you." Absalom would also say, "Oh, I wish someone would make me a judge in this country. Then I could help everyone who comes to me with a problem. I would help them get a fair solution to their problem." And if anyone came to Absalom and started to bow down to him, Absalom would treat him like a close friend. He would reach out and touch him and kiss him. Absalom did that to all the Israelites who came to King David for judgment. In this way, Absalom won the hearts of all the people of Israel. Verse 7. After 4 years, Absalom said to King David, "Please let me go to Hebron to complete a special promise that I made to the Lord. I made that promise while I was still living in Geshur in Aram. I said, if the Lord brings me back to Jerusalem, I will serve the Lord in a special way." King David said, "Go in peace." Absalom went to Hebron, but he also sent spies to all the tribes of Israel. They told the people, "When you hear the trumpet, say, 'Absalom is king in Hebron.'" Absalom invited 200 men to go with him. They left Jerusalem with him, but they did not know what he was planning. Ahithophel was one of David's advisors. He was from the town of Giloh. While Absalom was offering sacrifices, he invited Ahithophel to join. Absalom's plans were working very well, and more people began to support him. Verse 13. A man came to tell the news to David. He said, "The people of Israel are beginning to follow Absalom." Then David said to all of his officers who were still in Jerusalem with him, "Come on, we cannot let him trap us here in Jerusalem. Hurry up before he catches us. He will destroy us all, and Jerusalem will be destroyed in the battle." The king's officers told him, "We will do whatever you tell us." Verse 16. King David left with everyone in his family except 10 of his slave women. He left them to take care of the house. The king left with everyone in his house following him on foot. They stopped at the last house. All the king's officers passed by him, and all the Kerethites, all the Pelethites, and the Gitteites, 600 men from Gath, passed by the king. The king said to Ittai from Gath, "Why are you also going with us? You are a foreigner. This is not your homeland. Go back and stay with the new king. You came to join me only yesterday. You don't need to wander from place to place with me. Take your brothers and go back. Go with my faithful, loving kindness." But Ittai answered the king, "As the Lord lives, and as long as you live, I will stay with you in life or death." David said to Ittai, "Then come, let's cross Kidron Brook." So Ittai from Gath and all of his people and their children crossed over Kidron Brook. All the people were crying loudly. Then King David crossed over Kidron Brook, and all the people went out to the desert. Zadok and all the Levites were with him. All the Levites with him were carrying the box of God's agreement. They set down God's holy box, and Abiathar said prayers until all the people had left Jerusalem. King David said to Zadok, Take God's holy box back to Jerusalem. If the Lord is pleased with me, he will bring me back and let me see Jerusalem and his temple. But if he says he is not pleased with me, let him do whatever he wants to me." The king said to Zadok the priest, "You are a seer. Go back to the city in peace. Take your son Ahimaaz and Jonathan the son of Abiathar. I will be waiting near the places where people cross the river into the desert. I will wait there until I hear from you." So Zadok and Abiathar took God's holy box back to Jerusalem and stayed there. Verse 30. David walked up the path to the Mount of Olives. He was crying, his head was covered, and he went without sandals on his feet. All the people with David also covered their heads and were crying as they walked with him. Someone told David, "Ahithophel is one who joined in Absalom's plot against you." Then David prayed, "Lord, I ask you to make Ahithophel give only foolish advice." When David got to the top of the mountain, he bowed down to worship God. Then David noticed Hushai, the Archite. Hushai's coat was torn, and there was dust on his head. David said to Hushai, "If you go with me, you will be just one more person to care for. But if you go back to Jerusalem, you can disagree with Ahithophel and make his advice useless. Tell Absalom, 'King, I am your servant. I served your father, but now I will serve you.' The priests Zadok and Abiathar will be with you. You must tell them everything you hear in the king's palace. Zadok's son Ahimaaz and Abiathar's son Jonathan will be with them. You can send them to tell me everything you hear." So David's friend Hushai went back to the city just as Absalom arrived in Jerusalem. Well, so like we said yet the other day, God is causing trouble in the family of David, and here we see it. Absalom is fomenting rebellion against David, the rightful and chosen king, God's chosen king of Israel, and he is planning a coup. He's winning the hearts and minds of Israel. He's not winning. He's not winning them through force, but he's winning them through charisma and cunning. And so he's convincing them to join his side. King David doesn't care about you. King David doesn't want to hear your problems, but I do. I will help you. I can solve your problems. And that is a picture of Satan and what he does in us. He whispers to us all the time like that. God doesn't want to hear your problems. God can't solve your problems. God can't help you, but I can. I can help you solve your problems. And all of that is a lie. Absalom lied just as Satan lies. Okay? So, ironic, because yesterday we saw the picture of God in David showing mercy to his son despite the terrible sin he committed. Here we see Absalom as the picture of Satan lying to the people and convincing them to join him when they had no reason to. And so David is now on the run once again, just like he was with Saul. He is evacuated Jerusalem with all of his loyalists, but he has sent back the priests and their sons to keep an eye on things, and he's set it up to where they will relay information to him as well as disrupt Absalom's plans with bad advice by the Lord's will. So that's all we're going to do for today. We'll pick it up there tomorrow. Thank you again for joining me. I sure do appreciate it. See you tomorrow.